and done everything in our power to maintain. Now these young Negroes are taking our future away from us. Now it has so affected them that in Congress they were trying to get Lieberman and others to write legislation downing the lyrics of the hip-hop. I guess you call them gangster rap. The biggest gangsters are afraid of the little gangsters that are coming up. Now, that's what made me want to come out and talk to you, because while you're partying, they are planning your death. Under Homeland Security, Patriot Act 1 and Patriot Act 2, the government of the United States soon is going to move on the inner cities of America and move on black youth and move on the gangs. Many of them do not want you to reform. If you say you want gang peace, that's disturbing to them, because gang peace would mean that you would stop killing each other. But like a dog that has tasted blood, you've got blood in your mouth now, and they're afraid that one day you will turn those guns on them. So they have never given you the weaponry that would allow you to be troublesome, except to yourself. Now you are on one level, and it's very small, but the game is being played on another level, because America is the #1 seller of arms to all the nations of the earth, especially third world nations. Every civil war in Africa, American weapons are there. Not enough to give England trouble. Not enough to give America trouble, but enough to give one another trouble. And so what has happened now, China has become a nuclear power. When we were in China, I think it was in 86, I believe, somewhere around in there, everywhere we looked in Beijing, there was a crazy building was going on. And at that time, American rockets that were sending up satellites were blowing up. And the Chinese had not had one unsuccessful launch. So the Chinese were bidding for the contracts to send American satellites into space using Chinese rocket technology. Korea divided. The South economically stronger than the North, but the North militarily stronger than the South, and now they're telling America, not asking your permission, we are absolutely going to have nuclear weapons. Now just a few years ago, there were tons and tons of depleted uranium on ships going to Japan. And Japan was going to use it, they said, for peaceful use of atomic energy. But now Japan feels threatened by what's going on in Korea, and they cannot afford to let that happen. can Japan not become a nuclear power too? So there's an argument raging in Japan now. China a nuclear power, soon North Korea, soon Japan. Now look at this. Since China and India don't get along, and there have been border wars with China and India, India had to develop nuclear power. And since Pakistan and India don't get along, Pakistan had to develop nuclear power. So right along in the most populous area of the earth, Pakistan, India, China, all of them now nuclear. What do they think about America? President Bush has literally made the nations of the earth tremble, and they're frightened of what America will do, so you're not going to get them to stop manufacturing so-called weapons of mass destruction. I'm coming right here now. Bush is going to Africa. What was that about? Do you think that the president really cares? Come on now, let's read it. Agent, I'll give you the tape. You don't have to write. Do you really think that President Bush cares about Africa? Do you know who's behind the war in the Sudan? And what's at the root of that? Do you know who's really behind the war in Liberia? Do you know what's at the root of that? Do you know why they went into Iraq? And what's at the root of that? It's really God. Guns, oil, and drugs. Under the Taliban, no poppy grown in Afghanistan. Now that the Taliban are gone and you think there's some crazy Muslims, well, maybe they were a little extreme. But there was no drug trafficking. Now, a year and a half after the Taliban have been removed, the poppy is growing everywhere in Afghanistan, and heroin. Again, is moving throughout the earth because America wants to make the way safe for democracy. In the Sudan, the brothers in the north look just like you. The brothers in the south, nobody in here looks like them. I've never seen that kind of black anywhere in my life. Those brothers are so black till you can almost see a purplish blue. Beautiful, beautiful people. In the south, the north is Islamic, infected by Arab nationalism more than Islam, though they're Muslims. But the taint of Arab nationalism makes the north act to the south like the light-skinned brothers in Washington and other places used to act by, and still do, by the dark brothers. The more white blood you have in you, the cuter you think you are. And the more black you are, the more ugly you think you are. So the division between light and dark because of the imposition of white rapists is the same in the Sudan, the imposition of the Arabs and they're going in and out of black women. They produce a beautiful people that look like us, but in the South, where they have not had no relationship with white, but then they found a great deal of oil in the southern Sudan. So they want to divide the South from the North because the South is animist and Christian.